It's easy to speak out about the way I live, but it's a 24-karat dream.
Hi guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. If it's the first time you've found me, firstly, you are so welcome. Thank you for watching. My name is Tanya. I film videos about lifestyle, which I think covers a lot of ground really. So grab a cuppa and join me. Now, regular viewers to my channel will know my story. If you found me because of the title of this video, then I'm going to give you a brief history. In 2016, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. It was a small tumour on the right side, which I had mastectomy and reconstruction at the same time. The cancer hadn't spread to my lymph nodes or anything, but I did have chemotherapy which they call adjuvant, which is meant to mop up any cells and stop the cancer coming back. And everything was fine until last year, 2019, when I felt something wasn't right. It started when I felt tired, and basically I got a little bit worried, but then thought nothing more of it, just thought I was a little bit run down. And then I felt a little bit sore on that same side, and on prodding around I felt a lump. Now, because I'd had mastectomy and reconstruction, the chances of it coming back there were pretty small, so I didn't unfortunately act quickly. I should know better than anybody that you need to act quickly, but I left it probably a month to 6 weeks, to be honest, because I thought it can't be that, stop being paranoid. But when it didn't go, I thought, for peace of mind, more than anything, I need to get this looked at. Rang the hospital. They said chances are it's just a swollen lymph node, but I went in and they did an ultrasound, biopsy on the same day, and yes, it was a reoccurrence of my breast cancer. It had found somewhere to come back at the side of the implant. Now, my treatment this time, they did a lot more. Well, obviously I couldn't have mastectomy because I already had one, but in terms of how they treated it, I had a lot more because obviously of the reoccurrence. So they took the tumour away. They also took a sample of the lymph nodes to check to see if there was any spread there. Unfortunately, it had spread to the lymph nodes. So I had to have what was called a lymph node clearance. So they took all the lymph nodes away on that side, and fortunately it was only the one that was affected. It had started to try and grow a vein, so to speak, to spread, but it hadn't managed to get anywhere. So that was good news. However, I did prior to that have chemotherapy, basically because they said if I had it in that order, if there was any in the lymph nodes, they would know from the scarring or the dead cells that it worked. After the node clearance, I then had radiotherapy. Now, this is all normal cancer treatment, but what was different this time is that partway through my treatment, COVID happened. So COVID has impacted the treatment, diagnosis of cancer in the UK and around the world. If you saw the Panorama program recently, there were some statistics or figures where it's claimed there will be 35,000 more deaths from cancer because of the delay in treatment and diagnosis because of COVID. Now, I feel very fortunate that I had already obviously started the process. I was coming towards, well, I wouldn't say towards the end, but I was already in the system. So I remember sort of hearing about COVID or reading about COVID very sort of briefly, you know, and it's one of those things that in hindsight you think, yeah, I should have really paid more attention to that. But it was one of those things where I thought, oh yeah, it's in China, it's somewhere else, it's not going to happen here. And then obviously it did. And it kind of gradually, we heard more and more about it. And I'd finished chemo. I finished chemo on the 6th of March, and I booked a few days away with my mum just to have a break between the treatment. And it was kind of getting, you know, I'm wondering whether we're going to be able to go away. And we just got away for a few days before it all kicked off. We'd literally been back a few days and we went into lockdown. Now, I was being treated at the Nottingham City Hospital. They've got a specific breast cancer unit there, a separate building, and the operations took place there prior to COVID. So lockdown for me felt pretty strange because I was having chemotherapy. As you're probably aware, your immune system is pretty low anyway. It's taken a real battering. So you are far more likely to pick up things. So I was one of those people that quite quickly got a letter saying you have to shield for the 12 weeks, whatever it was, which was then taken to the end of July. So on one hand, I felt like everybody was almost in the same boat as me. And although it was surreal, it was kind of, okay, well, I don't feel bad being, you know, not working or anything now. I'm not sure that's the, you know, the right way to look at it, but the huge impact was that I couldn't go out. So I wasn't allowed to go to the shops. I was totally reliant on other people bringing food. Luckily I had a friend that bought some essentials before the government boxes kicked in. If you want to hear about the government boxes, there's a link in the description below so you can have a look at that video as well. So yeah, I was reliant on government boxes, and it's a time when you kind of really find out who your friends are, because, you know, I was here relying on government boxes and another friend sort of dropping off essentials, and it would have been nice sometimes, I think, if somebody had perhaps sort of come around and said, you know, I know you can't get out, here you are, but yeah, that's changing the subject. So yeah, it was a strange time, and I did wonder, how is this going to affect my treatment? And quite quickly I had a call from the hospital to say that my operation, which was due to take place, I can't remember the date now, sometime in April anyway, had been cancelled. And this is not cancelled permanently. It will be rearranged, but it could be brought forward, it could be put back, but we just can't tell you it's going to be on the day that you were told it was going to be on. So obviously that was worrying. What you don't want when you're in the middle of cancer treatment is to be told that your treatment is stopping or being delayed. So yeah, that was a worry. But I then had another phone call on a Monday morning saying, right, this was my breast care nurse that rang, right, your operation is going to be tomorrow. Get yourself to the Queen's Medical Centre, which was a different hospital to where I'd been having treatment, for a chest x-ray, because we need to check that there are no signs of COVID on your lungs. If everything's okay, you can then have the operation tomorrow. So dashed to the Queen's Medical Centre. Driving there was pretty much like a ghost town. Had to go on my own because obviously people aren't allowed with you. Had the chest x-ray. Luckily that was fine, and I was then told that it was fine for my operation the following day. Now, because of the situation, my operation was moved to another hospital. It was moved to a private hospital called the Park in Nottingham, where I think they were sending people like myself whose immune systems were low, etc. So they were at less risk of COVID, which was being treated on the general surgery ward in Nottingham City Hospital, which had become the COVID ward. I had my previous operation, my mastectomy, on that ward, and this time it'd been made the COVID ward. So yeah, I had to go to the Park Hospital again on my own. So I was going for an operation, a very big operation, and I wasn't allowed to take anybody with me. I had to be dropped off and picked up because obviously I couldn't drive. And I mean, it was quite nice that I was in a private hospital rather than the NHS, because I got a room to myself, TV, private bathroom. So I had to look at that as a bonus, I guess. And I just kind of went through the motions, and it was only recently when I looked back and actually felt sorry for myself. And I thought about myself on my own in that hospital bed with nobody. You know, nobody to be with me before I went, nobody to be there when I came round. I was just totally on my own. And I actually had a little cry to myself because I felt sorry for the person in the past. So yeah, and I stayed in overnight and then came home the next day with drains on. And about a week later I had to go back to the Park Hospital to have the drains removed. The next step was radiotherapy. Now, it was about, I would say, 6 weeks after my operation, and they told me that that would be the normal time scale. Now, I don't know if that's true. I would imagine it's not going to be much less than that because they want to give your body a chance to recover. The difference between going for radiotherapy and when I went for chemotherapy, with COVID having come in, was quite different. My initial consultation with my consultant was over the phone, which you can imagine is strange because it's a physical thing. They're not looking at you, they're just telling you over the phone how it's going to be. And then I had to go in for the planning CT. And again, this was the first time I'd been to hospital since the chemotherapy. And in that time, screens were up, people were wearing masks, and you basically had to go to the hospital, sit in your car, ring them and say I'm here, and then they tell you when it's safe to go in. So in other words, when, you know, they're ready for you. So they were trying to sort of keep your time in the hospital to a minimum. And once that was done, then again I got my schedule for my radiotherapy, which started about a week or so later, and I had to have 15 sessions, so it was Monday to Friday for 3 weeks. And again, it was like, don't come before your time. So if your appointment time was say 3 o'clock, you basically didn't enter the ward until 3, and there was really nobody there. You had to wear a mask. The radiologists were wearing masks, and it was all very, I mean, I suppose clinical, because it had to be. You know, you had to. I always use the hand gel anyway in a hospital, but you know, you were so mindful of using this hand gel on the way in, on the way out, keeping your mouth covered, and the follow-up appointments, because each week you would need a follow-up, that was all done by the phone. So your consultant wasn't looking at you. I mean, no doubt they had seen the x-rays, things that the radiologist sent them, and you just spoke to them over the phone. And my next follow-up is not until August the 11th, and again, that is over the phone. So they're not physically looking at the area that's been done. So it is a bit of a worry that nobody is physically seeing it afterwards. You know, I will be, from the 1st of August, I'll be allowed to go into Primark to buy a pair of jeans, but I can't see my consultant face to face. That doesn't seem right. You know, I understand they want to keep you away from the hospital to lessen, you know, the amount of people there, etc. But when it's something like cancer, I feel like you should be seen, you know? So, yeah, overall, lockdown was a weird time. I didn't get bored like some people did because I was still recovering from the effects of operations, chemotherapy, radiotherapy, and sleeping a lot. And I think if anything, I was just so appreciative that I was alive and being treated that it didn't overly bother me. I felt it more when the sort of general lockdown was lifted and everybody started going out again, and I couldn't because I'd just finished radiotherapy, rang the bell, that was it, and I couldn't go out and celebrate. It was kind of like, oh, okay, well, that's it then, off you go. So I had a nice meal at home, opened a bottle of champagne, but it kind of felt almost like an anticlimax. You know, when you're like, you're going through this, people are like, okay, have a big holiday at the end of it, go somewhere nice. Couldn't plan anything. Still can't really, unless it's local. So these big celebrations at the end of it have basically been sort of low key. Now, another difference between this time I had cancer and last time is the fact that I shared it. The first time I had it, I kept it all to myself, and I didn't tell. I mean, obviously immediate family knew and some people at work knew. Didn't tell anyone until afterwards. And then people were like, oh, you know, your story has helped people. And this time I thought, you know what? It's harder because it is the second time and you know what's ahead and you know the risks, you know you're going to be ill. And so I shared my story for a couple of reasons. One, if that my story could help even one more person save their life, then it's all been worth sharing. Personally, I don't feel like I've got the message out there strong enough, so I do continue to do it on my social media. I don't want to ram it down people's throats or be classed as the girl that always talks about cancer. If you want to hear about it, I'll talk about it, but you know, there are people out there that post about it far more than me who are going through more. There are people that are terminal, and you know, they are absolute, I don't know how they do it. It's so hard. It's such a hard journey to remain positive and to go about your everyday life, which these people do, and stay, you know, mentally strong. It is difficult, but I hope that my journey has showed people that it isn't always bad. You know, you can get through it. I'm not here to sit here and, you know, I'm not here to sit here and say it's easy, because it's not easy. It's mentally and physically draining, but you can get through it. And that's the message that I want to get across, and hopefully that has helped people. I also felt like I perhaps needed a little bit more support this time because it's the second time. Did I feel I got that? A little bit more. I've met people, spoke to people through social media that I wouldn't have done before, who have shared my journey. They were perhaps going through the same journey or have been through the journey with somebody in their family. It's nice that you can talk to people who have some idea of what it is that you're going through. Having said that, there is an element of survivor's guilt, and anybody that has survived cancer and knows somebody that has died from it, or you know, you're going to see in the news people dying from it, there's an element of, you know, almost feeling guilty that you've got through it and they haven't, and it's hard. You shouldn't feel that way, or you do. And so I try and say to myself every day how fortunate I am to be alive. And I do get down. You've been through such a lot that you do get down, and COVID hasn't helped with the mental side of it. The fact that you can't return to any, you know, I haven't been able to return to any kind of normality after treatment. But as I say, I'm grateful that COVID, as far as I know, didn't affect my cancer treatment, other than the fact that I was moved to a different hospital, and you know, I've not had some face-to-face appointments. As far as I know, everything else went to schedule. But I am mindful that there are people who have had treatment delayed, have had diagnosis delayed, and that can make a huge, huge difference in their life and even their life expectancy. The earlier you find cancer and the earlier it's treated, the outcome is going to be far better usually. There was the whole, you know, stay at home, save lives thing, and people took that very, very much by the word. Two reasons. One, I think people were scared to go to the doctors or to hospital because of COVID and the risk of catching it, and so perhaps have put off seeing a doctor about something that they found or that they're worried about on their body, and without worrying anybody. I mean, it's hard to say that, but if you find something, please do not leave it. COVID isn't going away quickly. Yes, you know, we seem to have had the peak and it's slowing down, but if something is inside you, if a tumour is inside you growing, it won't stop growing because of COVID. It won't slow down because of COVID. It will still be there attacking your body. So you need to get that appointment with your GP. And if your GP says they will talk to you over the phone, that's fine as an initial consultation, but you must push to be seen, because that is the difference between surviving and dying from cancer. It's as simple as that. Push, because if you don't push, you'll be put down the line to the back of the queue, and that is your life. You get one life, one chance at this. Don't waste it because you think that you're not important enough, or that it can wait, because it can't wait. Okay, go to your GP. If anything, the hospital is cleaner now than it's ever been. You know, you've probably got less chance of catching it going to a cancer appointment than you had before. When you think about it, when all this was kicking off, I was going for chemo, sitting amongst people with a low immune system at the hospital where the practices that are in place today weren't in place. You know, so go, do it, don't delay it. 11 million, I think it is, people screened a year for breast cancer, bowel cancer, cervical cancer. That has dropped because of COVID. And as I say, early detection is essential to improve your survival rate. If you did watch the Panorama programme, then you will know that they were saying that around 2 million screenings and follow-ups have been postponed because of COVID. Now, imagine out of those how many people may actually have cancer that hasn't been detected. it's really, really scary. So I did ask on Instagram if anybody had any questions as well, just so I could cover it. So I'm just going to check if there's any more that have come in. Okay, so how your friends and family coped or felt, and how you felt about their feelings. My family didn't really talk a lot about it, and I know they were sort of quite saying, oh, I hope it's not delayed. I think that was their main concern, but they didn't talk a lot because I don't think they wanted to worry me. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to ring my mum and I'm going to ask her what she thought. I'll put it on speaker.
Hello?
Hello, it's me.
Hey up, babe.
What, you know, when COVID all came about, what were your thoughts? Were you worried about my treatment or?
No.
Oh, okay.
I wasn't worried until the operation was cancelled.
Yeah.
Then I started to get worried.
Right.
Because to be honest, that was a really scary.
Yeah.
Did you?
I don't think anybody knew, did they? So you weren't worried when I had me about my radiotherapy or anything?
I knew you'd got Tammy, funny enough, Tammy.
Yeah.
I sit and think about it. How you went for your operation. You were so brave, weren't you? You were so brave.
So let's try one of my friends as well. Richard, who is in my videos sometimes. Hiya. Yeah, are you? I'm just doing a video. Yeah. And I just wanted to ask you, you know when I was going through treatment, yeah, and then COVID all kicked off.
When what?
COVID kicked off.
Yeah.
What were your thoughts? Were you worried or?
About you?
Yeah, was you worried about my treatment or anything?
Well, I knew that, no, because I knew that you weren't yourself from this. And I knew you take all the, I knew you wouldn't do everything, but I knew you'd wear you didn't wear a mask, did you? So I wouldn't, did you?
No. Were you worried about it being delayed or anything?
Yeah, I was worried about that. Yeah, obviously I was worried about the operation as well, but then it actually it turned out okay.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think they didn't know I was going to call. So that was their genuine reactions. And I think that is a credit to the NHS and the hospitals here in Nottingham that they weren't overly concerned. Obviously they were a little bit worried, but they weren't desperately worried about my treatment being delayed. If I was at the start of my treatment or the start of diagnosis, then perhaps it would have been another story. It might have been, the whole thing might have been another story. You know, if the initial ultrasound had been delayed because, you know, they initially said, oh, you know, it'd be nothing, it'll just be an enlarged lymph node. What if that had been put off? What if they'd left it? It had already gone to one lymph node. It could have gone to many more, spread throughout my body. That's the difference. And there will be some people, I know there are some people, if you watched again, just go back to the Panorama episode, there are people whose diagnosis was delayed and their outcome is now far worse. So yeah, I was lucky. Do I worry about the future? Yes, of course I do. Couple of reasons really. It came back once, it could come back again. Even though now they're still saying, oh, the chances are small, I have to be realistic. It could come back, you know, and I'm talking to to somebody at Maggie's, a counsellor at Maggie's, who deal with the mental side of things, and we've had this conversation. You have to have it in the back of your mind that it could come back. You can't live your life as if it's your last day almost, but it's always going to be there. Even if they said to you 0.0% chance it will come back, it would still be there. Anybody that's been through it will tell you it's been there, that it's still there. Then we've also got the fact that COVID may have changed the way cancer treatments are, you know, or cancer diagnosis even are carried out. You know, a telephone call doesn't work when somebody needs to feel that lump. And what we've also got to bear in mind as well is the knock-on effect from this. There will be people whose follow-ups have been postponed, and the waiting list now will also have had a knock-on effect. So anybody diagnosed now, it may be different to how it was 6 months ago. The process of diagnosis, treatment may be different. It may not, you may not be, is that waiting list going to have an effect on your treatment? These are the things that worry me, as well as obviously, as I say, I'm worried generally about it coming back, but there's that as well now. So, yeah, I just want to say, personally, at the moment, I don't feel COVID has been detrimental to my treatment plan. Maggie's centre being closed has affected me, because Maggie's is somewhere where you can go in and drop in and have a chat with counsellors who are special cancer support counsellors. With that being closed, it's been hard not having anybody to talk to. That's the only way, as far as I know, that I've been affected. But like I say, I'm mindful that there are people far less fortunate, and I just want to end again by saying that if you are at all worried about anything, do go and see your GP. Google is out there. Google is not a doctor. We all do it. I've done it. I did it this time. I think more to try and get reassurance, but Google will not save your life. Go to your GP. Days can make a difference. Do not let COVID kill you another way. So, I don't really want to end this video on a downer, but it is a serious subject. So, I am gonna love you and leave you for now. Thank you so much for watching. I will put links in the description box of other videos which you might find helpful. There's my diagnosis video as well, and if there's anything that you would like me to cover, again, do pop it in the comment box and I will do my best to cover that in another video for you. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Don't forget, if you aren't subscribed, make sure you subscribe to my channel. It would mean the world to me. I'm not using emotional blackmail here at all. It would mean the world to me, after everything, to get a few more subscribers on YouTube. And hit the little bell notification so you are advised each time I upload a new video as well. And I will see you in the next one. Take care. Bye.
It's easy to speak out about the way I live, but it's a 24-karat dream. No supermodel in my dirty jeans, but in my 24 inches heels.